tried to go through all the different sounds of the toggle switch and mess around a little bit with this particular control. Okay, what these pickups are, everyone's like, well, what is the deal? They're like modeling. I don't like modeling. What is this, some kind of digital? You know, everyone gets all, and you know what? I was kind of that way too when Richie was talking. So let me clarify that these are different from any other pickup that ever been made because it's not modeling. It actually functions as a pickup. So a pickup has usually copper windings around magnets, and that's how they make their sound. Okay. These, there was a guy in the aerospace industry that was a guitar player, and he had access to these really, really thin circuit boards that you could actually print the coil on. This really high performance, immaculate sounding substance, which made up the Fluence core. So if you got 48 on top of each other, 96 total, you can actually print the coil on there so that the coil is going to be the same every time. It's going to sound glorious. But here's the thing, the coil itself is like a blank canvas. So in order to make it sound the way that it does, it had to be active and it had to have a battery, which at first I was like, battery, that's when Richie said, oh yeah, they have to be active. I'm like, I don't want a battery in my guitar. I'm like, well, we figured out a way where it's not gonna be a big deal. And I go, well, how would that be? I don't wanna carve my guitar up. I like playing old vintage style guitars. I don't want to have to carve them up in order to accommodate the stuff, and I'm going to tell you right now, no one else is going to want to do that either. You know, I said, don't worry about it. We've got it figured out. We have an option where you can do a lithium-ion battery, and it actually fits on. This is a Stratocaster, you know, tremolo plate, and it's just a little thicker. There's a lithium-ion battery in there. It's got a phone charger, mini USB charger. And for an hour and a half charge, you get 300 hours of playing time, right? So I'm thinking, you know what? If you have a gig that lasts longer than 300 hours, you know, I was having lunch or breakfast this morning with my buddy Paul Barrera from Little Feat, and I was telling him about these pickups. He's like, hell, I don't think I even played 300 hours last year, you know? So that is really not an issue, especially when you consider the fact that, you know, we have to charge our cell phones twice a day anyway. You know, it's kind of in your brain, in your cranium that I got to charge my phone. With this, it's like, okay, at some point in the next 300 hours, I'm going to have to plug this guitar in. And I've had this guitar and this Les Paul for about 3 years now, I reckon. And I have never come close to running out of gas. Because I figure I like to change my strings after every 2 to 3 gigs. That doesn't even come close to 300 hours, right? And so what I do is when I'm changing my strings, I just plug in the adapter. What happens is that there's a little light here. And when you plug it in, it goes red, meaning it could use a top off, you know, and then as soon as it goes green, you're fully charged. And then, this has never happened to me, but when it starts flashing red, then you have 5 hours left. So, you know, the chances of running out of gas with these is like nil to none unless you're just, well, you have issues. You know what I'm saying? So it's not been a problem. The advantages are you get 2 voices for each pickup. So when I pop this, it goes from what we thought with the Strat is that we wanted something kind of underwound and glassy and open and big sounding for the first voice. And to do that, there's a Fender Custom Shop pickup, a 54, that is really kind of touted as their best, you know, regular single coil pickup that they make. So what we had for this entire process is we had shuttle guitars, and what we mean by that is, so it'd be a Strat, and it was routed out here, here, and here, and we had 1/4-inch jacks on the perimeter so that we could pop out the actual single coil pickup that we were trying to get the sound of, and then put the Fluence version of the pickup in and go back and forth and get it really, really close until we finally have what we like. Now, when I came in for the voicing of the single coil pickups, or these are called single width, they're the Strat pickups, for lack of a better term, and they were close, but they needed to kind of fine tune it. And we were able, by the time we got done going back and forth, I actually preferred the sound of these pickups to the regular single coil. And maybe that's just me, but even now, I play these guitars, and if I grab a guitar without the Fluence pickups, they're not as, the dynamic range isn't as large, okay? And especially with a Strat, Strats are so idiosyncratic to me. I mean, it's like, sometimes you can get a neck pickup that sounds great. You go to the bridge pickup, it sounds kind of anemic. So then It's like, well, do I get a hotter bridge pickup, or do I bury this one into the pick guard and raise this one up as much as it can so that there's some parity in between? And then you do that, and then you can go back and forth between the neck pickup and the bridge pickup, and it sounds right. But then the 2 position doesn't sound quite right, and sometimes the 2 and the 4 position will have this bell-like chiminess, but the single positions are like razor blades and hand grenades. You know what I mean? It's a constant scenario where you're making concessions, right? At least that's always the way it's been for me as a Strat player of many, many, many years. So one of the things I noticed about this guitar right from the get-go, from the very first gig that I got it and played it, was that every position of the toggle switch sounded good, and that I could go between them, and they were all usable. And also, on a regular Stratocaster, in the 2 and 4 position, you lose a little bit of output, just a little bit of gas. They're not quite as robust sounding as the individual pickups. And for this setup, for whatever reason, you don't lose any gas in the 2 and 4 position. So all 5 positions sound great. So the first position is as I said, like a 54 Strat. The second position, where I grabbed, and the only reason why this has this metal thing is that I've been relicking my own guitars, and I broke this thing off as it was traveling out here in my road case. But other than that, it should look like a regular tone control. When I pop it up, I get more of a something that's a little bit hotter, you know, for lack of a better term, like a Texas Special, something that's a little overwound. But both sounds live with each other very well. It's kind of a cascading thing. So, for instance, if I want this bridge pickup, first of all, there's no buzz. That's not me. That's the hand. That's just the bridge pickup as is, okay? Now if I want a little bit more gas, the idea. I mean, that is a bridge pickup of doom and destruction. Okay, so when I go back and forth between the neck, great parity between the 2 pickups. So that for me is worth the price of admission.